Hello everybody, this is Marcus with another video about Eldiron, my classical creator for RPGs, both for 2D like the old Ultimas and 3D like Dungeon Master, Ultima Underworld. And if you're interested in creating games in a cross-platform manner for these kind of games, then you're at the right place. I'm right now wrapping up work on the mechanics in the world which are needed for the 2D examples. Here is a current 2D example I'm working on, and this is mostly done now. And so I want to explain what is new in this release. And when we go to here you start and stop the server. When we go to the game tool, you see the game as the user would see it. And what we have now new in this version is we have widgets which switch the view. Here, for example, we have the inventory widgets, which 6 inventory slots. When you click on it, it's highlighted. And let's go pick up an item here from the torch. And so we use it, and then we take it. And then you see it pops up here in the inventory slot. And the intent system, which I explained in the last video, it works exactly the same way, not also on items in the inventory. So you can just use intent on items in the inventory. And of course, you can use the new drop feature to drop specific items in the inventory to the ground and take them again. Okay, so let me explain how this is done. When we go to the screen section here, it has all the widgets which make up the screen. And first, you have on the right side here the inventory widgets, which are like they have a name, inventory 0, and then they have an inventory index, which is 0, which means the inventory at index, the item at index 0 will be displayed in this button. And when you click on it, you can use the intent like before. So it's actually the only thing you have to do is create a button, inventory index 0, and that's it. Everything else is automatic. And what is also new is when you go to the nodes, you actually see that the outline is created by the nodes which I created for the material system, for the procedural materials and other things, which are called ShapeFX, and which have like a wood texture, stone, and this kind of stuff. But here I only use the outline node for the normal and selected to have a normal outline and a clicked outline. And the preview is seen here in the when you click on the button here in the normal and active modes. So this is not really exciting yet, but with that node system, we can create everything, right? Like stone textures and stuff, not only for buttons, but also complete widgets. Meaning it will be very flexible in the future to create procedural interfaces quickly. Okay, so when we go here to the data tool, which defines the actions of the buttons. So here we have a new list of widgets we want to show and widgets we want to hide. For example, here we hide, with this button, we hide the inventory widgets and show the messages widget. And we deactivate the show inventory button. This is the show game button, you can see here. And we hide the show inventory button, and the default state is active. So if we click on the show inventory button, then we show the inventory items here, which is abbreviated with a star, which means for the 0 to 5. Then we hide the messages button and we deactivate the show game button. So that's like a toggle state between the buttons. And that's it. I mean, you have a user interface which is toggles between two states, and you can interact with your inventory in this mode. Okay, let's move on to the next new feature. By the way, the whole server code is rewritten to make things smoother in single solo mode, but also to be deployable to the web, and which I will do soon with when the examples are a bit more worked out. And you can see that the scrolling is very smooth now. I mean, it sounds like of trivial, but when you do a system which is completely client server based over the network, you also have to make it fast in a single solo kind of adventures. And this is always takes some tweaking, which will also benefit when we have true networking coming soon. Okay, when we talk here to the vendor, he asks us, hello, have a look at my wares, and he offers you a torch to buy for 1 gold or say goodbye. So when we press 1 or we click here, then you bought a torch and you have less gold, but you have a torch. And this is now done the same way with like all the other things with the intent system. When we go to the character, to the vendor character, and we go to the code tool, we see that, okay, when the intent is used and distance smaller than 2, then we send the initiator of the intent a message, hello, have a look at my wares, and we offer the inventory, which is like the value, the entity ID, I mean the recipient, the original guy who sends the request, and the inventory filter. When the inventory filter is 0, we offer the whole inventory to sell. But if we would put something like torch in here, then we would limit the inventory to only items which are torches. Yeah, so I put all this into the messages widget here. We can also put this into an overlay here. And this is all small stuff now. I do that. It's actually more or less already supported. And also the way this messaging is implemented is actually internally a multiple choice mechanism. So multiple choice system items are also more or less already supported. And I will implement an API for that in one of the next versions. Now, my focus is for the next version to switch from the current Python-based scripting for characters and non-player characters to a node system. And the node system will actually create the Python code. So the Python code makes everything very flexible. It is perfect for implementing whatever you want. But I understand that it's not visually appealing. I mean, when I have a node system, the node updates what's happening. You see what the content of that node is, for example, what inventory item is for that node, what are the settings for that node. It's much more visually appealing than only looking at code, which is a bit static. So for the next version, I will focus on a node system which creates a Python code and which is interactive. It shows what's going on and it will make things much more intuitive for both 2D and 3D adventures. And that will be the big task coming up for the next version, which is nodes. And after that, I will do a dungeon master kind of game as an example, so that we have the 2D and 3D example. And I will work them out a bit more. And then we should be ready to go for version 1. As always, I mean, this update was a smaller one, but it was there was a lot of things behind the scenes which had to be adjusted and fixed. So the next big update will be a big one with the node system. And as always, if you want to support my work on Eldiron and you like this kind of games, please consider joining my Patreon and liking and subscribing to the video. Thank you very much. See you next time.